So, Ivan, why I wanted to touch base with you was, to kind of record your experience in the US. I wanted to understand what were the challenges that you faced, during your stay in US for finding a job in Seattle. I think you were in Maryland prior to Seattle. What were the challenges in Maryland, and then how did you decide to come to Seattle? Then what were the things that you did to kind of get into Microsoft? You know, so just a little bit about your experience here.
Yes. So I graduated from University of Maryland on 2017, and I so my college really had, had a huge career fair for software engineering opportunities, but they my college's career fair has some disadvantages even if it's pretty huge. Like it's very my college is very close to New York City, and it has a lot of like career fair companies hiring events about based on the fintech or banking related industries. Furthermore, it's so Maryland is really located close to the government, the federal government in Washington D.C. So I see there are a lot of government software engineering opportunities related to government related companies. So
Hmm.
I had a lot of restrictions about like security clearances.
I
So
see.
that's the reason why I decided to move Seattle,
Mm.
because I've been now there are a lot of my friends working in Seattle after graduating college. So that's the reason why I decided to move to Seattle for the job opportunity.
I see. So when did you land in Seattle? What date?
About about January 2018.
January 2018. Okay. And
Yes.
then what were the challenges in Seattle that you faced, and how did you kind of get above those challenges?
Okay. So there are a lot of job seekers, and particularly entry level software engineering opportunities, like job seekers. So that's the most challenging thing about staying in Seattle and having applying for applying applying and joining the career fairs in Seattle,
Right.
because yes.
A lot of competition.
Yes, particularly for entry level opportunities.
So, how did you, what did you do to overcome this challenge?
The main thing is I always went to the meetups after afternoon, during dinner time. There are a lot of meetups, technical meetups, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I so I joined a lot of meetups and added the LinkedIn connections with the other recruiters or hiring managers in different companies. Then I I tailor my I keep tailoring my resume and applying for the companies, like by sending LinkedIn or sending a lot of cold emails,
Sending a lot of
like cold emails.
code emails?
Cold,
Cold emails. Okay.
yes,
Cold emails.
cold
Okay.
emailing.
Okay. How and did you get any response from those cold emails? What was that response rate? Do you have?
Um, Maybe like 20% or 30%. It depends on like how much the applicants like it depends on like how much applicants like experiences fit with the company's needs.
Mhm.
And after getting like the recruiter's LinkedIn and email address, and if someone writes like polite email with the tailored resume, I think it's gonna increase the chances to get interview invitation.
Awesome. Uh, what can you give us a little bit of an idea of what do you mean by polite email? Would you be able to share some samples with us of these polite emails that you sent?
Yes. So for example, all right. So keep very simple, like on the title, like email title that shows the passion, and that really shows the passion about the company's opportunity on the title. Then like write down the name, like brief introduction with the experiences in the like cold email. Then how much like then explain how much each candidate can contribute to the company, and why the candidates like experiences fit with the company's needs, and wrote down like very briefly with the correct manner, yeah, with the correct grammars.
Mhm.
Then like and explain and write and post a resume with the information like the name and email address and with the phone number.
And phone number, I see.
Yeah.
So, how much time did you spend sending emails to these recruiters? A, B, did you have a first in that meetup? Did you that personal connection that you built with that recruiter, did that help in terms of the response that you got?
It depends on the company, but if it's smaller company, like if it's smaller company and if the company is really desperate
Mm.
in hiring like smart candidates, yes, it is.
Mm.
But if it's big company, or like if it's like big company, or the company the pre like big companies such as FAANG companies, it can be hard, but it require like sending like different cold emails to the different recruiters, or maybe or referral like or getting employee referral might be much helpful.
That's helpful. I know you were working in a volunteer position at Code for Good or something like that, right? Did
Yeah,
that help in your huh?
yeah, Android application.
The Android application? Did that help you in getting the first call, or do you think that you would give some credit to that role to getting a interview?
Yeah, it's hard. Well, it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
But would you suggest, like, for other people who are in the similar boat as you were, would you encourage them to join a startup to get some experience as a volunteer, or some volunteer organization to get some experience, or Do you think that that is not that much time spent, well spent, but time well spent is in networking or leet code or coding? What would you suggest?
Um, I mean, it's like again, like it's really better than nothing. And once the resume has been passed after the recruiter's call, and it really depends on like how much the candidate can impress the um hiring manager's call, and it really depends on how much the candidate can explain how their experiences fits with the company's needs or technical interview. And the thing is, I've taken like around like 100 technical recruiters call and interviews, and I realize like instead of like expenses on the resume, they really care about like technical interviews and like algorithm interviews or technical interviews.
Mhm.
Once, yeah, and like many like interviewers or hiring managers take like they really are not comfortable about false positive. And even if like experiences on the resumes are great, if the candidate doesn't pass the interview, and it's not gonna nothing.
Nothing. I see. I see.
Yeah.
So you started to contact multiple recruiters. You started to line up some interviews. Um, did you ever come across Hacker Rank or these kinds of interviews? What was your experience there?
um it's it's like real, it's kind of really hard. And because if I'm not that like a logical, like really logical person, and like if someone getting into the software engineering field, and I really think um previous experiences don't like I think previous experiences don't matter, but if someone is like pretty logical person, like the person can catch up the latest technologies or algorithm problems pretty quickly. But if someone is not that logical person, um, can be the person will really struggle.
Hmm. So, uh, so this Hacker Ranks. Uh, how much preparation does one need to do to crack this Hacker Rank? How much preparation did you do to crack Hacker Rank, and how did you go about, cracking the Hacker Rank? Uh, what are some pitfalls or some of things that you would advise new candidates that are in your boat to do?
So if someone if someone has like computer science degree, and I think I think it might be better to organize like while refreshing the algorithm concept. I think the applicant might be better to write down like organize the index, a table of contents for algorithm, the the common topics from the array to the dynamic programming. And I think it might be better to memorize the table of content. So if someone got the if someone if applicant gets the same no gets a problem, and the applicant can figure out what what the problem, where, like, what kind of topic is, like, what kind of topic does does the problem have? So, like, for problem, like at the beginning of the interview, the person can figure out what kind of topic does the applicant need to use. So I think it might be better to like memorize the table of content.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and also I figured out the algorithm, these technical interview problems, they base, well, they, so this type of the problem is like a math problems, like a math, like a little bit similar to like math problems in the exam. And I I realized that, yeah, I realized that when someone like solving the problem, it's not like the you don't need to like you don't need to be like really creative in order to solve your own problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the person can I think applicant might be better to like use the table of content in the head and pick one of the topic or data structure, then use the data structure and pick the data structure and
Mm-hmm.
solve the problem. It's like creating the frame, like creating the frame on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
So what can I say? So when I, for example, yeah, when I try to like create the frame, like attach the frame on the wall using the hammer or a drill or a driver. So what should I choose? Um, in that case, I can choose. Mm, yeah, I think I can choose the hammer,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I take hammer as the data structure,
Mm-hmm.
such as stack,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's all, and also I think I can choose like a drill. Then I take drill as the advanced data structure, which is
Mm-hmm.
much faster and more.
I see. I see. I see. That's what you think. Okay. How much practice did you have to put in to actually crack some of these? Would you do 1 month of practice to 2 months of practice? What kind of range of practice do you
It
think is
really,
required?
I practiced more than 6 months,
More than 6 months. I
but
see.
I really realized that before like before starting the algorithm interview, I think the real applicant really needs to learn how to
Oh, okay.
study efficiently.
Oh, so can you give a little bit more on that? Like, how did you study most effectively or efficiently?
Increase like the person really needs to increase the deep focus time.
Hmm.
Right? I'm not that smart person, so I had, even if I spend lot of time on solving like numerous LeetCode problems, but my deep focus time was like very like pretty low.
Hmm.
I just used my laptop and stayed in WeWork office all day,
Wow.
and
Okay.
and WeWork office all day, and keep really cursing and like screaming. But it didn't work out, and so I realized I really realized that I tried to set up at least like 4 prompts per day, but increasing like deep focus time 1 or 2 hours of really deep focus time.
When you said
And
defocus, you mean
deep,
not not working on the questions or working on the focus time or defocus? Can you kind of tell me a little more on that? What does defocus mean?
increase the like time that I can really focus on without any distraction.
I need any distraction. Okay. So how much?
Distraction.
So how many problems did you solve per day? Three to four.
Yes,
Three to four lead code problems. Uh,
yes.
Medium or easy or hard?
Well, the person needs to. The person really needs to be good at like easy problems, then getting into medium problems.
Okay. So you need to first make sure that you've done mastered easy, and then you get into medium questions.
Yes,
Yes.
but also
Hmm.
but also really needs to make sure finish top 100 problems, like 100 popular.
Popular 100 popular problems. I see. I see. I see. So how did you get this Microsoft opportunity? What was, how did you, how was it through the cold emailing you got this opportunity, or did you have some friends or referrals? How did that land up on your plate?
Yes, I got a referral from my friend, and well, it's like I got a referral based on my friend. Then I send like keep sending cold emails to the recruiters.
Okay.
I typed I typed Microsoft technical recruiter on the LinkedIn. Then I estimate like then I got the email. I couldn't figure out the person in the LinkedIn's email, but I just I just assumed I try hard to like get the email like from recruiter's email. Then I send the email like cold email to the different recruiters.
I see. So from her name, you were able to figure out what could her email be.
Yes, maybe I can send the sample email later.
Hmm. But what I'm trying to say, from how did you get to the recruiter's email? Because LinkedIn doesn't expose that information, right?
Yes, LinkedIn doesn't show the email, but what I did is the first name dot last name at
Mhm.
Microsoft.com,
Mhm.
or that's pretty much, yeah, that's the like employees email address, typical employees email addresses.
I
Or
see.
some companies take the first character of the first name and the whole last name, then
Ah,
at
I
like julie.com or whatever.
see.
Yeah.
I see. I see. I see. I see. That is a very interesting way of approaching. Yeah. And so, after how many emails did she actually respond to you?
Maybe half or less than half. It,
Okay.
re- it really depends on the person has master degree or like yeah, it depends on the referral, like including the referral's name, or
Mhm.
if someone gets the referral and includes the
Mm.
referral's name in the email, it's gonna be much easier.
Much easier. I
The
see.
smaller company is gonna be easier.
Yeah. And then, how did you just interview at Microsoft, or there were other interviews that were you or you also gave during this
Um,
process?
I
Like
I
person,
took a lot of on-site interviews,
you take a lot
but
of.
like a lot of failed.
I see. I see. I see. And then you finally were able to crack Microsoft. Microsoft.
Yeah,
Very good. Very
it's
good. What did you learn from your failures in these companies? What were the key learnings that you applied that made you successful at Microsoft interview?
Um, like engineering managers, they they don't it's like, to be honest, they want they don't want like they don't want the smart, like really smart person. They don't want smart people. They want the candidates who they can work with. And
I see.
I know you're also like engineering manager, and you interview
Yeah.
like ton of candidates,
Mm.
and you you I guess, yeah, I think many engineering managers want the candidates who can't, like, who don't bother, who don't bother them, like bother interviewers like during the work.
I don't think that is a completely accurate statement, but yeah. How did you come to that conclusion? Why did you come to? How did you come to that conclusion?
They When I get the feedbacks, a lot of feedbacks, and I fail because of a lot of false positive feedbacks.
Like, for example, if you can give some.
For example, like one of my feedback was sponsoring visa. The company is like hard to sponsor visa because because they think I'm really passionate, but my experiences are not little. They they want more experienced people, but my technical level was a little bit new grads.
Hmm.
That can be also one of the false positive feedback.
Mhm.
And like in the engineering manager's perspective, like becoming really passionate doesn't much matter.
Hmm.
Um, there are a lot of like passionate people, and this is technical position. And the engineering managers, they care about the passion to solve the problem. They really care about the passions to finish the problem,
Mhm.
given problem, but they really they don't care much. It seems like they don't care too much about like the becoming like passions about like companies itself, or becoming slave of company, and they don't care about that.
Hmm. I see.
Yeah, it's
They
just,
don't really care about how passionate you are about the company.
yeah, my passions about like engineering itself. I
Engineering
mean, they really care about the passions to solve to solve the given problem,
to solve the given problem.
hard problem.
I see. I see. I see. I see.
They don't care much about the passions, and yeah,
Oh,
other in general.
yeah, I see. Cool.
And also, the other thing is there are many there are many like some there's some engineers, yeah, there's some engineer like candidates who start the career as like glue work, glue, like engineers such as project engineers, or some kind of like content development.
Hmm.
And I personally don't recommend like starting on those positions unless it might be like SDT, but I
Hmm.
personally don't recommend like applicants to start on those like a yeah, I mean, technical industry has like bias. Some kind of big companies, the big company have some bias, and I'm not. I think you also like Lahore. You also like stayed in Amazon, and I now like you have realized some kind of like barriers between the software engineers and the other position like QA or like project engineering or other positions that really focus on glue work. And I really I really encourage the other like candidates to get the programming job, software engineering, like a programming job, and start with the programming job as
I
possibly.
totally agree with you. I think starting with the glue work is not a great idea. Starting with software engineering, right? Coding is the right way to go about it.
And the person after a few years, those people like can decide whether they can change their they can keep doing programming like programming job career or move on to the other like management or glue work positions.
Work positions. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and also particularly like women, I also want to tell to like women candidates,
Mm.
and I always realize that like women candidates have I see a lot of like women candidates get an internship through the boot camp, like such as like well, I think I'm okay to disclose this boot camp, ADA Academy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Some boot camps they have the relationship with the big companies, and
Mm-hmm.
those non-binary women
Mm-hmm.
candidates they get an internship after a
Mm-hmm.
few weeks program like curriculum. They get internship, and if they try really hard and build a good relationship with the engineering manager, and they get offer from the big companies without CS degree. And
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of companies like really desperate like in make, making engineering teams diverse.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of like HR teams or like interviewers are really like really hard trying hard to hire like women engineers.
Yes. Yes. That is true. That is true.
And yes, so yeah, they also can join the groups like such as Grace Hopper
Mm-hmm.
or the I'm not like women in computing or those related
Mm-hmm. I see.
technical like events
Yeah.
or yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is a good opportunity for women to kind of join these groups and then be able to get a job through them through those jobs through that channel,
Okay.
right?
And also like they or candidates also might be better to look at the like engineer like first career opportunities out of USA and like such as
Ah, I
yeah.
see. So let's talk about that a little. Before I wanted to ask you one more question. The question is that you see a lot of code camps. Like, did you ever explore some of these code camps where they teach you how to do lead code or yeah, yeah, and what was your experience there? And what would you recommend people join those?
Like code, you mean like a boot camp such
Yeah,
as like
boot camps.
share boot camp?
But yeah, boot
It
camps.
really it really depends on if someone tried if someone tried like try to do job search like more than 6 months, but if someone can get a job like more than 6 months, if the person really tried really hard, in that case they might really need help,
Hmm.
particularly like international students.
Hmm.
It might be worth.
Good. So you think that everybody should try at least 6 months before getting into any boot camp,
Right.
right? To kind of
Again,
yeah,
yeah.
I see.
Again, those people like can applicants need to try really hard
Mm.
It's not a like this is not a like really easy game,
It's
and
is an easy game or it is not an easy game?
really not an easy game.
Not an easy
But
game. Okay.
if if someone has the citizen if someone has the citizenship and the person can target any like banking or like can get a software engineering job in the non-tech companies,
Mm.
and it's okay for them. But otherwise it can be like they really need to focus on like a tech companies mostly.
Mm.
In the case, if someone really needs to try more than 6 months. 6 months. If can progress, then go like find the other boot camp,
Find the boot camp. Okay.
and so they can get advices. What kind of problems do they have? What kind of problems they have? So they really need to get the feedback and get the corrections.
Correction. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the international job, yeah, give me a little more about your experience there. Now that you're kind of globe trotting, how is that? How should a person approach that problem, and what should he do?
You mean which problem?
International finding jobs internationally, and not just in US.
I know. So like some of my friends, they get a job in Germany and Singapore after the work after graduating college because particularly Germany or Europe, some Western European countries, like software engineers in the tech companies, they speak English, and so IT and software development fields are they really need people. If someone has already has a lot of experiences in from their country, and I think I see I've seen like some cases they get a they get a job in those countries even if they don't know how to speak in German or maybe in Chinese.
Okay, interesting. And
Yeah.
so how would you propose that people approach this? Which website should they go to? Whom should they contact to kind of look for international jobs?
Uh, it might be better to try LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Okay.
Yes.
But where do you find for jobs in LinkedIn? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. According to my networking,
Mhm.
they mostly got reached out by recruiters in like through LinkedIn.
I see.
I
See.
don't
Mhm.
I don't I'm not really expert on this part, but they mostly got reached out by LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
or they reach out to recruiters in Western European countries.
Western European countries. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool.